I thought I'd bought myself a nice quiet house in the suburbs, just a place to park my truck, work some wood, live in peace. Turns out what I actually acquired was the only international border that mattered to a bunch of power-hungry neighbors. Seriously, that's the only explanation for what happened next. Because within days of moving in, the HOA, President Vivian Mallister, yeah, remember that name, started acting like my driveway was some kind of disputed territory, like she was going to plant a flag and call in the UN. I should have listened to Frank, the old guy who sold me the house. At closing, he gave me that look, kind of a mix between good luck and God help you, and muttered, "You're about to be popular, son. Watch out for that Mallister woman." I figured he was just being neighborly. What he really meant was I was inheriting 20 years of weird Cedar Springs geography, where the only way delivery trucks could reach the HOA behind me, Millbrook Heights, was by crossing my driveway. Frank had always let folks do it. No drama, no charge, just a handshake and a wave as moving vans rumbled past his window. But Vivian, she had big plans. 2 days in, she showed up at my door with cookies, a scary bright blazer, and the kind of handshake you only see in political debates. Sat herself at my table and started talking partnerships and liability like we were negotiating a merger. I just wanted to keep things simple, be neighborly like Frank. But Vivian's eyes kept darting to my driveway, sizing it up. She started floating ideas about the HOA handling maintenance, maybe coordinating deliveries, monetizing community infrastructure. Her words, not mine. I said no thanks. She didn't take it well. A couple days later, I got an official letter from the office of the President Millbrook Heights HOA, which, by the way, is just her with a laser printer. It had all this legalese about usage coordination, mutually beneficial partnership, and get this, me submitting a schedule for my own driveway. She wanted the HOA to approve who could cross when and with what kind of truck. It was bonkers. The next morning, she showed up with a clipboard stopwatch and that same fake smile timing a furniture delivery to the Williams place. She flagged down the delivery guys, started asking them questions about community procedures, and tried to rope me into some new system. I cut her off, told the drivers to just keep doing what they'd always done. She didn't like that either. Vivian started cranking up the pressure, talking about community responsibility and how liability would be on my head if I didn't fall in line. I realized right then this wasn't about deliveries. She wanted power. Control the access, control the people. Classic HOA logic. Next thing I know, there's a complaint at City Hall, unauthorized commercial use of residential property. I get a letter from zoning asking for documentation, traffic logs, boundary surveys, like I'm running FedEx out of my garage. I mean, she'd tried to get the city to ban delivery trucks from my driveway so the neighborhood would be forced to sue me for an easement, and then bam, she'd solve the crisis she created by taking control of my property. It was twisted. So I decided to fight fire with fire. Marked my property line with a thick white stripe, put up signs every 10 feet, and installed cameras. The neighborhood started buzzing. Christian Ellis, an electrician from the HOA, dropped by. Good dude, just wanted to know what was going on. Word spread fast. That afternoon, a delivery truck stopped at the line, unsure what to do. I walked out, waved him through. Just private property, no drama. But I knew Vivian wasn't going to let it go. That evening, she showed up, official blazer, even bigger clipboard hands on her hips like a sheriff. She glared at my new white line like I'd drawn it in blood. Marched across it, up to my door, voice tight as a drum. "What is this, Robert?" I explained. "Property line, nothing more." She called it hostile, said I was creating division. I told her if anyone wanted to cross, just ask. But she was in too deep, ranted about community standards, got so heated, she ended up trespassing right in front of my camera. I pointed it out. Her face turned white. Not 3 days later, Vivian called an emergency HOA meeting. The invite read like a national disaster alert, urgent community access crisis. I didn't have to go technically, but she'd made me the villain in her PowerPoint slides. Aggressive boundary marking, critical community infrastructure, complete with photos of my white line and wild charts about liability. Her proposal: the HOA should force me to hand over my driveway, charge everyone for using it, and make me pay for the privilege. But then the tide turned. Margaret Thompson, the elderly neighbor, asked if anyone had actually been blocked. Nope. Christian pointed out deliveries had always gone fine. Suddenly, everyone was questioning Vivian's emergency. Then Ashley Martinez, the HOA secretary, quiet but sharp, stood up with a folder. Turns out she'd found emails where Vivian was plotting to claim easement rights charge fees and use the whole thing to boost the HOA budget. That was it. When they voted, Vivian's plan crashed. Most folks saw through her power grab, but she wasn't done. 2 days later, I woke up to a city inspector in my driveway thanks to yet another complaint from Vivian, now claiming I was running a trucking business. The inspector, Jeff, was just doing his job, but he gave me a hint. The property owner has the right to control access. The city can't force you to let anyone through no matter what. That's when it hit me. Vivian's whole strategy depended on me leaving the driveway open. What if I just didn't? So I built a proper gate, nothing aggressive, just professional, with an intercom and access codes for the neighbors who'd always played fair. The sign read, "Access by permission only." First morning, the gate worked like a charm delivery truck. Press the button, I open up, no problem. Word spread. Some people freaked out. Christian called it brilliant, said I was controlling the narrative now. Vivian, on the other hand, showed up with crowd signs and even a news reporter ranting about hostage situations. The reporter saw through it pretty quick. I explained still letting folks through, just keeping things organized. Ashley showed up again, this time with a folder full of emails proving Vivian had been scheming for months. When the news ran the story, Vivian came off looking desperate. Neighbors started turning on her, and calls for her removal from the HOA board went from whispers to shouts. Christian let me know an emergency vote was coming. By the time the meeting rolled around, the mood had completely shifted. Ashley ran things smoothly. The vote passed 18-2, and Vivian's power trip was officially over. Ashley took over as president, and the first thing she did was draft a simple agreement. I'd keep letting deliveries cross the HOA, would chip in for maintenance, and everyone respected that access was a courtesy, not a right. That agreement passed unanimously. The days that followed felt like a breath of fresh air. People actually apologized for being swayed by Vivian's drama. Emily Foster, a lawyer in the neighborhood, even offered to help finalize the new agreement pro bono. Within a week, Vivian put her house up for sale. Guess even she realized she was done. Ashley became the new permanent president, and the board put in clear rules to prevent any future HOA power grabs. My gate system. Other neighborhoods actually called me asking how to set one up. Deliveries started flowing better than ever. Drivers thanked me for making their lives easier. UPS, FedEx, the local movers, all of them. The new keypad meant no waiting, no confusion, and no drama. The monthly HOA meetings turned into actual problem-solving, not political theater. The best part, I started to feel like I actually belonged here. You know, as I stood in my driveway watching that white line and the new gate, I realized Vivian's attempt to steal my driveway had done the exact opposite of what she wanted. She brought the community together, forced everyone to get honest, and made sure no one ever tried to pull that stunt again. Sometimes the best revenge isn't some grand act of payback, it's just letting the truth come out so clearly that nobody can deny it. I didn't have to fight dirty. I just had to stand my ground and let everyone see what was really happening. So what do you think? Was I right to defend my property, or should I have caved for the greater good, like Vivian wanted? Drop a comment, tell me where you stand. Is there such a thing as too much community, or was this all just HOA madness gone wild? I'd love to hear your take, because believe me, around here opinions are never in short supply.